The budget is out. Is it a good thing? Is it a bad thing? The overall feeling is that nothing really has improved drastically. And this, unfortunately, has seen to be a good thing in that things haven't got worse. Is this the standard that we've come to expect, that when things don't get worse as we expect it to, that it's acceptable? One positive is that the minimum wage has been increased. It's been increased to £12.21 from £11.44. So we have a slight increase there. Is this enough to offset the cost in living, cost in travel? I personally don't think so. But then again, it's better than nothing. Is this something that we have to accept, that it's better than nothing? And so we should think, we should count our lucky stars and be thankful that there is some improvement. Well, some improvement is better than nothing. The contribution to national insurance has been increased. Employers will be hit with this amount to pay. And in a strange roundabout way, this may make it even more difficult for you to find a job or to expect a pay rise, because now employers can justify the fact they cannot increase pay because they have to make these contributions. Yes, it's going to raise valuable funds, but at what cost for you? I don't think it's such a brilliant idea, because it's going to put people in a situation where they cannot expect a pay rise after all of their hard work to pay for the increase in rent, increase in utilities. The single bus fare has increased to £3. In London, it will remain capped at £1.75. And it doesn't seem like much, but if you're living in an area where the price of the bus has increased, even if your wages have increased, the price will offset this. And the fact that employers will have to pay more for national insurance will mean that you won't be expecting to receive a pay rise, and it will be more difficult to actually get a job. Fuel prices have been capped, so this is good news for people that are traveling to work by car. I know some people may have been filling up on fuel the day before the budget so they can relax. Inheritance tax is set to increase, with the person's pension to also be included in the future. This will affect a lot of people who are expected to receive some inheritance. This doesn't compare with the people that have generational wealth in the tens of millions. And so it's something which is a bit sad to see when their family has worked extremely hard and wants to pass on some money to help their children in the future, and they will be faced with a higher tax on this. Capital gains tax is set to increase, which is good news for people who are frustrated with seeing other people have second homes and third homes, maybe holiday homes. If you are in that position, that may feel painful because you've worked hard and yes, you have a second home. But as we know, things are in dire straits. People are struggling to afford property and even to get their foot on the ladder because things are incredibly expensive. So this is a welcome change, because now people will have to pay increased tax on having that privilege of having a second home. Tobacco and vaping will see an increase. Will this affect you? I see a lot of people vaping, especially. I think smoking has declined, but vaping has increased, and the government is going to start taxing this higher. Stamp duty is set to increase for second homes and buy-to-let homes, and this will be good news because this may put people off from buying additional houses. But for people that already have these houses and are making a living from this and making a profit from this, they will only increase the rent for the current renters. So it has its pros and its cons. Private school fees are set to rise. If people are earning hundreds of thousands of pounds and sending their children to private school, I don't think this will affect them greatly. The benefits people receive is set to increase, but this also depends on their personal circumstances. The state pension is set to increase slightly, and this offsets the news that they are set to lose their winter fuel payment. Overall, do you think this is a good thing, a bad thing, or is it just more of the same? We don't have any big changes to see, and is that a positive thing? I think ultimately, to solve the country's problems, incredibly wealthy people in excess of 10 million need to be taxed higher. And the topic of generational wealth needs to be looked at, and their wealth, their assets can be used, can be liquidated, can be used to help to grow the country. So in terms of this particular budget, I can see that the government is trying to make some changes for the positive, but in particular, seeing that the national insurance amounts, but in particular seeing the national insurance contributions by the employers increasing is only going to mean that they are not going to increase the salary of their workers, of their employees. And it's just going to make things difficult. It's going to make it more difficult to find a job because now the employers have this extra burden. Seeing that the national living wage will increase is a very good sign. I think that this should be approaching £15 instead of the £12.21. I think this would go a long way to seeing a big improvement in the quality of life that people have. The bus increases as well is going to affect people that have to get to work, and that small increase, it just cancels out the cost of their transport. Let me know what you think about the budget in the comments. Is it a good budget? Is it a bad budget? Or are you indifferent to the budget? I think generally any increase is a really good thing, but you need to look at the budget in totality. Is the government tackling the real issue of wealth, of excess wealth? I don't think they are. I think they are sidestepping the issue and making it be seen as if they are making a step forward. For example, by increasing the stamp duty, but the thing to remember is that these landlords who have this increase in stamp duty, if they are in a position of buying property and renting it out for many years, they've grown accustomed to having that income. So they have no qualms about squeezing the renters for even more money, and the people's stress is only going to increase, rather than looking at landlords and having a cap on rent. So let me know, what do you think about this? How does the budget affect you personally?